71% of the Earth's surface is covered in water. Water is also the most important ingredient of life. Naturally, the water cycle, a process by which water is transported throughout an ecosystem, is the most important matter cycle. Meet Rainy, the raindrop. He lives in a vast ocean. Every day, the sun beats down on the ocean and causes water molecules to evaporate into its gaseous form, water vapor. One particular day, Rainy will evaporate into the atmosphere and condense into a cloud with other raindrops. Then, the clouds precipitate, releasing Rainy into rivers that eventually flow back into the ocean. The first step is evaporation. During this step, energy and heat from the sun warms the oceans, causing the water that absorbed the radiation to evaporate into the atmosphere, creating water vapor. The next step is condensation. This step sees water vapor losing its energy and cooling into ice crystals and water droplets. Moreover, the droplets and crystals condense to form clouds, which differs based on altitude, pressure, and humidity. Water droplets can't form on their own, though, and they have to cling to dust and dirt particles in order to form a droplet. At this point, another type of process that adds to the water content in clouds, called sublimation, occurs. Sublimation is the phenomenon where a solid directly becomes a gas without going through a liquid phase. This usually occurs more often when the temperature is low or the pressure is high, allowing for ice crystals to directly transform into water vapor. Most of the sublimated water comes from the north or south poles and usually accounts for less than the amount of water vapor that evaporation creates. The next step, and probably most familiar, is precipitation. Now that the clouds have been fully saturated, the water vapor condenses into large raindrops, snowflakes, hail, or sleet and falls to the surface of the earth. Fun fact, raindrops aren't actually shaped like tears. They look more like spheres. The next, less known step is transpiration. When the rain falls and is absorbed by the roots of the plants, it is carried up to the leaves using capillary action. The water is put to good use, being stored in the plant cells' vacuoles and used for photosynthesis. However, the leftover water is pushed out of the leaves' stomata, which are tiny openings in the leaves of the plants, as water vapor. Finally, the water from the precipitation combined with the water from melted snow and glaciers run off, flowing in rivers back into the ocean. At the same time, a process called infiltration makes water flow into groundwater tables and aquifers that usually never leave in thousands of years. So what's the big deal? Water is the most important aspect of life, and we could not do without it. It provides fresh water for drinking and irrigating crops and carries sediments, bacteria, microorganisms, and nutrients across an ecosystem and in and out of aquatic biomes. A disruption in the water cycle could affect an entire biome, as biomes are practically defined by the amount of precipitation. A biome is a type of area with similar temperatures, humidities, rainfall, and organisms. A rainforest biome, which receives a lot of water, has organisms that are perfectly evolved to deal with sodden ground and heavy rainfall. However, if the rainforest precipitation decreases, so will the amount of living species. Unused to the dry climate, these water-loving organisms would die, yet other organisms who live in, let's say, a desert, which does not receive much water, thrive in areas without water. Therefore, if the water cycle is disrupted, so is the entire biome. So next time it rains or snows, don't take Rainy and his fellow raindrops for granted.